This is Joseph Drust, and welcome back to another episode of Ask ZBrush. So we had a question sent in asking, is there a way to make a subtool glow using BPR filters? So to start off, I just have ZBrush loaded up, and I just have an example model file here loaded in. So this model file was created from the demo female head, and I've just gone through and changed some of the values of the two subtools here. So I made her eyes red. And when I position this model in my scene, if I come up here and click BPR, you'll see that the red eyes here are now appearing to glow. So they're glowing, and that red tint is now coming across and appearing visible on other parts of the model. So the question is asking about how to go by setting up something like this. So I have a subtool and then have that subtool appear to glow when it's rendered with BPR. So to start, I'm just going to reset my scene here and just start back from scratch. So I'm going to hit comma on my keyboard to open up Lightbox. In here, I'm going to locate the demo head female project here. I'm just going to double click this, and then I'm going to click no to saving changes there. Now the demo head female project will come in like so, and it has two subtools. So it has the female head and it also has the eyes. Now if I just render this model with BPR normally, you can see this is the result I'm going to get. So I'm going to get some shadows, but nothing is happening in the eye area. So the first thing I need to do is I need to select the eyes, and I need to fill it with that red color. So with the eyes selected here, I'm going to come over to my color picker. I'm just going to grab a pure red color here. I'm going to come to the top, I'm going to turn on RGB, and then I'm going to go to the color palette over here, and I'm going to click Fill Object. Now when I click Fill Object, since I have only RGB enabled, it's going to take the red color, and it's going to process it into the model's vertices, and it's going to fill those vertices with that red color. And this is now going to Polypaint that model with red. Now you'll notice when I did this, the subtool over here for the eyes has changed to that red color. However, the female head is still being displayed in white, but currently on my screen, it's in red. And this is because the female head subtool does not have any of that color information baked into its vertices. So whatever color I have selected over here, it's going to take that color information. So if I go back to white, you're going to see the female head is going to look like this, and those eyes are going to stay red. So with the female head, let's fill that with the color white. So I'm going to select the female head there. Make sure that RGB is still turned on. Make sure white is my color value here. And now I'm going to go to color and fill object on that. And now you'll notice that the subtool here has a paintbrush icon, which is allowing me to know that Polypaint is active. So you can see the eyes have one as well. And it is now filled with white. So now I've gone through and I've filled the female head here with RGB colors of white. And I've filled the eyes with RGB colors of red. Now with these both filled with colors, I can now open up the filter area and I can start playing with the BPR filters to get that glow effect around the eyes. So I'm going to come to the render tab up here and open this up. And with this open, I'm going to click this little icon here, which is going to dock the render palette to the left tray. So you can see now it's over here. And in here, we can locate the BPR filters area. And these are all the filters that we can apply to affect our BPR render. So if I come over here and click BPR, I'm going to get a render in best preview. So this is the result I'm getting here. And then now I can activate these filters. And these filters are going to apply a post-process effect on my BPR render. So if I come over across this F1 filter here and click this little icon here, which is going to turn on or off the filter, you'll see by default that the F1 filter is set to noise. So it's going to apply a noise filter across my entire BPR render. So what I want to do is I want to change some of these filter settings over here, and I want to focus only in on the eyes and give those eyes an effect that's going to generate that glow. So I'm going to come over here and change my filter to now say paint. So I'm going to come over here and locate the paint option and select that. Now the paint option will go through and apply a single color across the entire BPR render. So currently the paint is set to 50% and the color is set to gray. So I'm going to change the color here to red. So I'm going to click on this and then select a red color. So now you can see that it's changed that paint filter to red. So it's going across the entire image there. Now below the direct modifiers for the filter, you have a bunch of mask options down here. And these mask options are going to allow you to change where this filter effect is going to be applied. So if I come across this mask one here and I set this to 1, you're going to see it's only going to apply to the model, and then the background is going to be masked out. If I do it the other way, it's going to mask out the model, and then it's going to apply the filter only to the background. So changing these sliders here are going to determine how the filter is going to be clipped or masked when it's applied to the render. So for the eyes here, to make them glow, what we want to do is we want to use this color pick option down here. And this color pick option is going to allow us to pick a color in our BPR render and then only apply the filter effect to that area. So if I come across this color area here and click and drag, this is going to give me a pick option. And now you can see as I come over the model here, it's going to allow me to pick a color. So I want to pick the areas of red on my model. So I'm going to come across the eye here and click. And now that area is going to be selected. So now I just need to activate this clipping mask for the color. So I'm going to come to the RGB intensity slider here and just bump this to 100. So you'll see now anywhere on my render that had this pure color is now going to be clipped out and have this filter effect applied. Now you'll notice when I set this to 100, I'm not really seeing a change here. So if I come back up to my filter and toggle this off and on, I'm not going to see any difference. And this is because the color I have selected is a single color. And if I get out of the BPR render by just clicking on the canvas, and you'll notice that the eye here, since it's being shaded by this matte cap material, it has these different values in it. So it's not just a single red color. So the filter here is looking only for this color, and as ZBrush sees this eye contains many shades of red because of the matte cap material that's being applied to it. So what we need to do is we need to remove the matte cap material from the eye here. So we can come over here, and in our matte cap material, we can set this to flat color, and now our model is going to look like this. And so you'll see now that the eye is that full red color. So I'm no longer get that material shading. So when I render with BPR, this filter is going to kick in. It's going to look at the color that I've selected, which is now referring to that whole eye area. And then it's going to apply that filter. Now the problem with this currently is that the female head here, I didn't want it to be flat color. So I wanted it to be that nice gray color. So what I need to do is not only on the female head here do I need to apply RGB values, but I also need to bake in a material to the vertices of that subtool as well. So with the female head subtool selected, I'm going to go to the material palette here, and select matte cap gray. Up at the top here, I'm going to change my material channel to M, and then I'm going to go to color option over here, and I'm going to do fill object. So now if I go to the subtool palette over here, you'll see the female preview icon here has now changed, and it's showing up now in this matte cap gray. So this subtool here now has M values, which is the material, and RGB values baked into the vertices. So the Polypaint is now filled with material plus RGB. So with this subtool being filled with material, if I now come back over here and change my current material to flat color, you'll notice that the eyes are going to now accept that flat color because the eyes only have the RGB value baked in the vertices of the model. But the head is going to stay with that matte cap gray and also that white color, because it has both the RGB and the material baked into the vertices. So you just need to go through and make sure that you have your model set up where the materials that you want to glow only have RGB values baked in. So that way when you change your material to flat color, those subtools will now be displayed in this flat value, and any other subtools you want to hold their matte cap material values will end up looking like this. So now I've just isolated those eyes to be red. So now if I come over here and render with BPR, this is the result I'm getting. So I have my head with that matte cap gray, and then I have my eyes being filled with that flat color. So now if I come over here and let's say I change the color for this paint filter over here to something different. So let's change it to blue. You'll see now the eyes here are now changing to that blue color. So I can increase the paint value here, and you can see now they're bright blue. And then let's say I want to create this glow effect. So to create this glow effect, I just need to come through and start playing with this mask border, the blur, and the soft sliders here. So if I start changing this mask border, you're going to see that the clipping that's being applied to the filter here is now growing. So it's going outside of the initial area where those eyes were. So you can see it's overlaying and coming on top of the rest of the render. Then I can change the blur here, and this is now going to soften that. So you can see now I have these glowing blue eyes, and I can change these sliders to decrease or increase this here. And I can also change the softness one here to kind of make this softer or harsher. And then I can come up and I can mess with the opacity. So now you can see I'm getting this glow effect happening on those eyes. Now, if I want these eyes to be back to their red color, I come over here and change this front color back to red. And now I'm going to get this red glow effect here. And now if I rotate my model and re-render with BPR, the filter is always going to look for that red color, which is what the eyes have here. And it's going to always apply this paint filter with this blur. And now I'm going to get that glow effect. Now, toggle this on and off in real time. Just come over here to the BPR filters. And as long as you've rendered with BPR, if you turn this on and off, you're going to be able to toggle that effect. You can also come through and apply multiple filters. So if you want certain parts of your model to glow with one color and certain parts of your model to glow with a different color, you can just copy this filter and paste it into another slot here. Change the clipping color to a different variation. So if you want to have like blue glow and then some red glow, you just need to make another subtool, fill it with that specific color, and then link the clipping to that color. And then when you render with BPR, it will be respected. So if you have any other questions related to ZBrush pipelines or processes, please use the hashtag AskZBrush on Twitter. Happy ZBrushing!